Good morning, everyone, and welcome on this very warm first day of May in Sacramento. Please take care of yourself in light of the heat over the next hour. And at this moment, would you stand for the singing of the national anthem?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please be seated. Thank you to our talented Caltrans quartet, which brings us the national anthem every year. This year it features Paul Moore, Annalene Myers, Joseph Rouse, and Martha Steyer under the musical direction of Rex Clough. Thank you to our bagpiper and our bugler, who so graciously brings us his talents and joins us every year. He is Lieutenant Colonel Bill Tubbs from the California State Military Reserve. Thanks also to guitarist Randy Hyatt and keyboardist Anthony Johnson. They share our talents. I told them the moment I get out of my car for this event every year and I hear their music, I know exactly where to go inside myself to be in the place that we gather for this year and every year. Welcome to the 24th Annual Caltrans Workers Memorial. I'm Beth Ruyak. I'm the host of Insight on Capital Public Radio. It's been 5 years now that I've joined you like this to lift up the memories of the men and women who lost their lives working on California's transportation system. It's an important event, and there are a few sponsors who make it possible for us again this year. I'd like to thank them. They are American Traffic Safety Services Association, who bring along the traveling wall behind me. Please take a moment to look at it after the event. The International Union of Operating Engineers, State Unit 12, California Transportation Foundation, Flasher Barricade Association, California State Military Reserve, and the CHP, which very proudly, and we're thankful for, honors us with their presence, the human wall, behind us every year. We are remembering today. And if you look at your program, it's a big word on the front of the program. In fact, our traditional diamond cone formation is larger this year because as we've learned more about the Caltrans history, we've learned more about workers' lives who were lost, and so cones have been added to the formation this year. And those workers are remembered back to the year 1921. Also in our audience, 131 family members of workers who have been lost, and we greet them with an open heart and the warmest greeting from the Caltrans family gathered here today. They are family members of workers including James Archer, District 1, who lost his life in 1921, Raphael Kreitzenbeck from District 2 in 1964, Donald Parker from District 7 in 1971, and you might recall that Donald's brother, Bob Pence, is a perpetual member of our honor guard at this ceremony. We honor the families of Perry Stiltz, District 4 in 1973, whose son Ryan has worked at Caltrans headquarters, Carl Taylor from District 2 in 1976, David Guillen from District 7 in 1976, Ann McCormick, District 3, also in 1976. Excuse me, that was 1987. Tony Pontliana, and Tony was an employee of the city of Sacramento. He lost his life in 2006. Dewan Bush from District 4 in 2007. Matthew White from District 3 in 2007. Mui Doc Tron in District 2 in 2008. Donald Licklider, District 10, 2009. Deborah Ross from District 4 in 2009. Stephen Palmer Sr. from District 11, who lost his life in 2011, and his son Stephen Jr. works on the D11 maintenance crew, and I just noticed that his granddaughter Kayla won the 6 and Under poster contest. There's actually a picture of her in the program. Also with us today are the families of Robert Jones and Sean Parker, both from District 2, who died in April of last year. We spoke so much about them last year while the funerals were happening up in the district. And the family and friends of Dean Patton from District 3, who died last year on the day of this memorial en route off duty on his motorcycle to this event. We welcome them as well. And to each and every family member, I hope you understand the respect and an even bigger feeling of gratitude to each of you. We're sorry for your loss, but I personally want to say I'm so glad that you've come to this event today to share with us this place where family can embrace you and share the tears. We share them together. I would like to ask District 2 employee and chaplain of the Reading Police Department joining us this year, Chaplain Mark Robertson, to lead us in a moment of prayer.
Good morning. It's a privilege to be here today with all of you to remember and honor our employees who have died in the line of duty. May I suggest that for the family, friends, and co-workers of these employees, this past week leading up to today has been difficult. Caltrans is home to men and women who are on a mission to provide safe travel to the citizens and visitors in California. To accomplish the mission, they often work under the most difficult circumstances, in blistering heat, frigid snow, and driving rain. Our employees work to keep the highways safe. In the situation we experienced last year, our employees were removing rocks from a mountainside to minimize the possibility that the rocks would fall on a car or perhaps a school bus with children. All our men and women are heroes. They should be thanked and honored and prayed for every day. And I invite you to pray with me now. Almighty God, we invite your presence with us today. We call on you and ask you to extend your mercy and watch care to the men and women in Caltrans who have chosen to work in a job that carries great exposure to their well-being. Likewise, protect our brothers and sisters in the CHP who work side by side with us. And God, we must acknowledge, in spite of all the training, the reminders, and the safety measures that are put in place, there will be accidents, there will be pain, there will be loss. When those times do occur, give us strength to endure and bring your holy presence to the family and friends and all who grieve. It is 1 year since our most recent tragedy. Pain is still great. Comfort the hurting as only you are able to do. May the families hear and see in this assembly how the loss of their loved one does matter to all of us. We will not forget the sacrifice they made. Bring peace to the families. Bring hope that life can go on, and may we all learn again to enjoy life. Hear our prayers, O God. Amen.
The Caltrans Honor Guard is an important part of this event. We thank them for their participation every year. If you make a mistake when you're writing or typing something, it's a typo and it lands in print. When you make a mistake as you're speaking, I guess you call it a verbal typo, but then you have a moment to apologize. So that's what I'd like to do right now, is ask your apology for 2 errors, 2 omissions. One is we have family members from a worker named Jaime Obeso who lost his life in 2011. And I'd like to greet the family warmly and apologize for the fact that your family wasn't mentioned on the list. Also, apparently I misspoke, and I'd like to say to the family of Sean Baker, and we've repeated over and over the embrace to your family, and all I can say is that I had an error in speaking and not an error in the heart. So my apologies. 1 year ago, our honor guard was in Northern California for the funerals of Sean Baker and Robert Jones. And because their families were unable to attend this memorial, we are remembering them today. And there's that word again. The accident, of course, took the life at the same time of Dean Patton on the morning of the event, and we remember his family today. I'm kind of lingering on that word a moment because if you look at it, within the word remembering is the word member. You're a member of a crew or a team or an office. You're a member of a family. You're a member of a church, a community. When we remember, think about what we do. We reconnect, we reunite, and we rebond. And we come back to the place that we need to be in today. And it's a place we heard a lot about this week, that place where we are all one. We remember because we're one. In front of me is the one traditional diamond formation. And each cone represents a worker who has lost his or her life in the line of duty. In the center this year, there are 4 cones. 3 orange cones, 1 each for Sean Baker, Robert Jones, and Dean Patton. And then there is a black cone, and the black cone represents all workers across the USA whose lives have been lost, including lost to the contractors. And now as you hold the thought of the embrace for everyone, I'd like to invite to the podium the Secretary of the California Transportation Agency, Mr. Brian Kelly.
Thank you, Beth, and thank you all for being here today. I recognize many faces in the crowd, and I'm very appreciative for your presence here today as we honor the folks who have dedicated their lives to improving all of our lives. In particular, I see not only current Director Malcolm Doherty, who's my partner in a day-to-day work that we do on behalf of the people of California in the area of transportation, but I see former directors Jeff Morales, Tony Harris, Will Kempton. Thank you all for being here. Members of the California Transportation Commission, thank you as well for being here today. I'm honored, of course, to be with you again, and to recognize the great sacrifices and the tremendous commitment to public service that Caltrans workers are making every day. California's state highway system includes 50,000 lane miles of pavement, a road system so expansive it would wrap around the world twice if laid out in a single lane. The state maintains more than 12,000 bridges, 205,000 culverts, and 30,000 acres of landscaping, as well as 87 roadside rest areas. Caltrans workers who help preserve and maintain this system provide a vital and often thankless public service that supports California's economy and improves mobility to millions of people. The work is complex, it's difficult, and it's often dangerous. Thousands of California workers report to work every day, braving hazards on busy highways and roadways to help protect our infrastructure and improve the lives of others. I honor and respect public service and the men and women of this state who choose to serve. I continue to be inspired by that service and by all of you here today. I think today is the appropriate day to ask all Californians to spend a moment to contemplate the inherent danger of those working all day, every day, within mere feet of quickly moving vehicles on our state highways. The work demands respect, and drivers can best pay that respect by slowing down in the cone zone, paying attention to their surroundings, and avoiding distractions while driving. No texting, no telephone calls. These are simple asks, given the enormous risk to the men and women serving all of us. As we have done for the past 23 years, today we recognize and honor the memories of all highway workers who lost their lives while keeping California's transportation systems safe. There are many families here who have suffered great loss. I express my heartfelt condolences to all of you, and I honor the work of your loved one. I appreciate you being here today. I also want to express condolences to the families of Caltrans equipment operator Sean Baker and Robert Jones, who lost their lives during a rock scaling operation to stabilize the slope on Highway 96 west of Wairika. These men are working to make all of our lives better and the public safer. We miss them and are forever grateful for their service. To the men and women at Caltrans who are here today, your service makes our communities safer, helps ensure the well-being of our state, and saves lives. And today we recognize and appreciate your work and express our gratitude for your dedication and sacrifices and commitment to public service. Thank you all for what you do for all of us. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure to welcome our Caltrans director, Malcolm Doherty. And he was absent last year, which he will explain. But when he's here and the families are here, I think there's a sense of unity for the entire Caltrans family. So it is a privilege to introduce him again, Director Doherty.
Good morning, and thank you, Beth, and thank you once again for your assistance in administering this program for us this year. Thank you all for coming out today and helping us remember and honor those who made the ultimate sacrifice while serving the people of California. We have many family members of those represented by the orange cones with us today, as was indicated earlier, and I'd like to extend my sincere condolences to each of you. We unfortunately will present 3 new cones today to acknowledge coworkers and loved ones that were lost in the past year. To the families of the 2 Caltrans workers who died on the job almost exactly 1 year ago in April of 2013, Joseph Robert Jones and Sean Baker, we wish you peace and solace in the fact that they were a part of a Caltrans team as well, and they were doing work that would keep other people safe. Being a public servant is a meaningful and important job, and they gave their lives working to protect motorists from the very thing that took them from us. I know that you have not forgotten them, and please know that we will not forget them either. Today we also recognize and remember another tragic loss, and that of Dean Patton, a highway maintenance worker from Grass Valley, whose life was lost while on his way to this very event. And he was participating in a memorial ride to honor those represented in the cone array in front of us. Those that have paid the ultimate sacrifice, many of them doing the same job of the 3 individuals we honor today. To his family, his character lives on, a selfless family man whose last action was to pay tribute to all those individuals represented by the cones before us. Since the 1920s, 183 Caltrans workers have died while working to improve transportation for the state of California. And we have families here representing those individuals going all the way back to the 1920s. We also know that the contracting industry, as well as the California Highway Patrol, have lost family members as well, and we keep them in our thoughts and prayers today. This memorial is a poignant reminder to us in the Caltrans family of how critical safety is every day and why we must watch out for each other every single day. It is also an important reminder to motorists as they drive through construction and maintenance work zones. Those are husbands, wives, brothers, sisters, children, and parents that are working out there along the roads. So please watch out for them and slow down. It is for your safety, it is for our safety, it is for our contractors' safety and law enforcement safety. Caltrans has many partners in our work, and we also have many partners in our mission to maintain safety. And I'd like to thank several folks that are representing some of those entities that have joined us here today. The Commissioner of the California Highway Patrol, Mr. Joe Farrow, is here. The Director of the Office of Traffic Safety, Rhonda Kraft, is here. The Director of the Department of Motor Vehicles, Director Gene Shiamoto, is here. Representing the Federal Highway Administration, Chief Operating Officer Mike Duman has also joined us. And the President of the Professional Engineers in California Government, Katrina Barros, is also here with us as well. And I thank each of them for joining us to help honor our employees who have been lost. Thank you also to each of our speakers that are here today to also mark this day. In the dignitary seating area, we also have the California Transportation Commissioners, Joe Tavallone, Jim Medafra, and Jim Arp, and I appreciate you being here, as well as the Chief Deputy Director, Susan Branson, and we appreciate your representation as well. And to each of the Caltrans employees who have joined us here today and around the state, there is no finer career than one that benefits millions of people every day, a career that makes the lives of Californians safer and more mobile. You should be proud of the work that you do, and we all are proud of those who are no longer here and represented by the cones. We will never forget Robert Jones, Sean Baker, or Dean Patton, or any of the individuals that we have lost throughout the years. And we honor them for their sacrifice by doing everything that we possibly can to maintain safety for the public, ourselves, and our coworkers, because this is our Caltrans family. To the public, please slow for the cone zone. It could very well save a life and possibly yours. So today we remember, we honor, and we recognize 183 Caltrans heroes. Thank you.
As the Director and the Transportation Secretary noted, there is a lot of work going on throughout the state of California right now, in particular in Sacramento, and you may be aware of the Fix 50 project. The project is running a number of days ahead of schedule. So tonight is a shift in the project. There's a shift in the eastbound lanes, also on the ramps. If you're traveling in from out of town, if you're traveling back tonight or tomorrow morning, please allow extra time, pay special attention to the fact that that roadway in the downtown area is a bit different. And with this heat, I was also reminded that our workers, the Caltrans workers, work in heat, in snow, in rain, in all kinds of conditions year long, and they need to take care of themselves. Please take care of yourself over the next half hour, 40 minutes while you're here too. I'd like to now introduce the Honorable Bonnie Lowenthal. She is the chair of the Assembly Transportation Committee. Bonnie joins us every year. It's a pleasure to welcome her back. Yeah, it'll be fine.
Good morning. First, I'd like to thank Director Doherty for asking me to speak at this very important memorial. All too often, we learn of tragic accidents on our highways and are reminded of the sacrifices Caltrans workers make on a daily basis to ensure the safety of motorists in our state. Highway work zone safety is a life and death issue. According to the Federal Highway Administration, across the United States, nearly 2 people are killed and over 100 people are injured every day in highway work zones. It's a startling statistic. As chair of the Assembly Transportation Committee, worker safety has always been and will always be a top priority for me and for my committee. We're constantly looking at ways to improve the safety of our workers and ensure that best practices are carried out in our work zones. For the past 2 years, my committee and I have worked with stakeholders, including industry representatives, CHP and Caltrans, to look for ways to improve work zone safety. My committee held a hearing earlier this year to explore more aggressive means to improve work zone safety, and out of that hearing, we heard loud and clear that we need to slow traffic down through these work zones. For too many years, we've been overly concerned about minimizing the impact of construction on motorists, and as a result, we inadvertently jeopardized our workers. This needs to be fixed. I was pleased to see that the speed limit was lowered to 55 miles an hour through the Fix 50 project. I hope we see more and more of that proactively and not in response to a heightened rate of accidents. We also learned at the hearing that there's very little data to tell us what is actually happening in work zones with regard to accidents. This has made it difficult to develop appropriate remedies. In response, we're working with the CHP to encourage enhanced enforcement in work zones and to do a better job collecting data regarding violations in the work zone. This will give us a better idea of what's really happening in these areas and what we can do in response. When it comes to worker safety, we're all responsible. Employers, drivers, and workers, we all have a role. Safe and efficient work zones begin with proper planning and implementation of safety procedures. Drivers must use extra caution in and around work zones by reducing speeds and minimizing distractions such as using cell phones, texting, or the radio. Drivers should also be aware that inattentive and aggressive driving puts both our frontline workers and themselves in serious danger. So we can do more. I urge the CHP and Caltrans to stay vigilant on its continuing efforts to keep its workers, including its contractors, safe while they are working on our highways. And to the highway workers in attendance here today, I want to extend my deep thanks for your dedication, your sacrifice, and your commitment to public service. I want to thank everyone for coming out and honoring those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. And my sincerest condolences go out to the families and friends of those who have lost someone in the line of service. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Assemblymember Lowenthal. And you remind me that every year I come to this event and I say, I have to do better. I'm guilty of some of those things on that list. Are you? Is every one of us? And it only takes that one moment that we are that can change everything. And I leave here every year with resolve that the entire year ahead of me needs to be like Lent. I need to get better at this. So join in with me and we'll try again. And next year I hope I can sit here and listen to Bonnie speak and say, I did it. I got better. I paid more attention. I was more responsible. I am right there with you. And now I'd like to introduce the Vice Chair of the Senate Transportation and Housing Committee, Senator Ted Gaines.
Good morning. Thank you so much for inviting me to be here on this memorial today. I think so often of the people that we take for granted, the fantastic work that Caltrans performs for California. But I want to recognize everyone in that agency today for the skills and commitment that they commit to building and maintaining the backbone of this great state. Many of the 20,000 Caltrans employees risk their lives every day to fulfill their mission. It's dangerous work, and one distracted driver or one piece of heavy equipment not working right can cause terrible tragedy for the workers and families who love and support them. Let's all commit to doing everything we can to keep these men and women safe. I want to thank you once again for having me here today, but I can't leave without recognizing every Caltrans worker who works so hard on a daily basis, and certainly those who have made the ultimate sacrifice in giving their lives. And we had Sean Baker and Robert Jones, who we lost last year, and my prayers go out to their families, and Dean Patton, who is on his way to the memorial service. And if I could, I'd like to just read a little bit from the program. Dean Patton's family has a beautiful poem, Letter from Heaven. Hey everybody, I hope this doesn't reach you too late. I don't want you to worry, because life up here is great. I can't wait for you to see the beauty of heaven, but I know it's not your time. I really miss you guys, but I know that you'll be just fine. I know that I can see you right, so please stop shedding tears. You guys, I'm perfectly fine, so conquer all your fears. I'll be watching your every move. Relax. I won't spill your beans, but stop those naughty things you do, because you know there's nothing he can't see. I need you to come here to meet me, but not if you misbehave, so please keep God in your heart, and you'll be safe and saved. And it continues. It's just a beautiful poem. And what a great tribute to Dean and Sean and Robert and everyone who has given their life for making our roadways safe and our infrastructure strong in California. Thank you for the opportunity to recognize these heroes today. God bless.
Thank you, Senator Gaines. And please welcome the Executive Director of Engineering for the Associated General Contractors. We're always happy to have him with us, Mr. Sam Hassoun.
On behalf of the Associated General Contractors, I offer my deepest condolences to the families of our fallen workers. Each year in the U.S., over 9 people are killed, well over 1,000 people are injured in crashes due to distracted motorists and drivers. Over 30% of the drivers that were polled did actually admit that they are distracted using devices, either responding to a text or an email while they were driving, either receiving or sending. That's 3 out of 10 people in the United States could have gone through our work zone every year, could have caused harm and injury to our workers. California has the largest transportation infrastructure in the world. It's the envy of many nations. They all come here to witness and to watch what a great state we have and what kind of a transportation system we have. And as Secretary Kelly mentioned, we have well over 55,000 lane miles throughout the state that require maintenance, repairs, expansion, and construction. That requires a lot of people from Caltrans and their partners from the industry to maintain this large infrastructure. So construction is a large part of our economy in the state. It's a healthy sign of our economy. It's a symbol of growth, and it's a symbol of all the economy that we are encountering here in California. We need construction, and we need the jobs to maintain our livelihood and to expand mobility for the people of California. AGC of California represents well over 700,000 men and women who make their living in the construction industry. They work collaboratively with Caltrans, and they work collaboratively with all the agencies to ensure and to expand mobility for the folks, for the people, for us, for our way of life in California. However, repairing our roads and bridges throughout the state and expanding mobility for California should not be a life and death proposition. The men and women who are working on the other side of the orange cones risk their lives and risk every day in trying to expand and to trying to improve our quality of life, and that should not be a risk that should take on a daily basis. Partnership between Caltrans and the construction industry has been one of the strongest partnerships, especially in the slow for the cone zone, and partnering also with the Federal Highway Administration with the safety edge has been one model partnership. The use of Federal Highway Administration and COSI on all of the construction signs have been, and the construction job sites, have been one that has been dramatic and extremely helpful in reducing accidents and fatalities on our construction sites. Collaboration and partnering with our elected officials, with our legislators in creating laws that reduces speed, as we've heard, on construction zones, and to get the drunk drivers out of our roads and to eliminate the use of texts and distracting devices while they're driving on our highways has been tremendous in saving lives. But we all know that's not enough. Safety is all of our responsibility. Even one work zone fatality is one too many. One grieving family, one agency, one company, one association will bear and will feel the brunt of that loss. We cannot expect to grow and expand our economy at the expense of our workers. I urge you to slow down whenever you are approaching any construction zone. When you see the construction signs, this is the time to actually slow down and pay attention to the surrounding, to the people that are working around us. And also, we urge you to educate, talk to your family members, especially teen drivers, about the danger of distraction while they are driving at large and the use of any mobile devices. Personally, 2 weeks ago, I was driving on Highway 80, and my cell phone rang, and it had a little text ding in it. And I started to glance at it, and I had my 2 teen sons with me in the car. And they both said in one voice, "Dad, don't." And you know, they are correct, because there was a pier, there was a column on a bridge, and it had a barrier rail that was wrapped around it. And it could have been just a split second for me to glance at that phone and actually land into that barrier rail. And that was an accident that was actually avoided. So it is up to all of us to not only educate and to talk to our friends, families, and neighbors, but we also need to model that behavior about safety driving for them and to show them how we can also be safe, how we need to save our workers. So I urge you all to help us, help you stay safe, help your family stay safe, and to bring our worker home safely. Thank you.
Joining us now is the coordinator of the International Union of Operating Engineers State Unit 12, Mr. Tim Neep.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Caltrans, for allowing me to come out here and speak today. Welcome. On behalf of the operating engineers, we are here to honor our fallen workers and offer our deepest condolences to the families and friends that have lost a loved one in the line of duty. Operating engineers, along with Caltrans, has worked very hard over the past several years to pass laws that are forced to make travel in public be more aware in the work zones and increase safety for our highway maintenance workers. It was extreme cooperation and efforts with our friends of Caltrans and the legislators that have passed awareness around the work zones and appear to be making a difference at this point. I would also thank CHP and their participation and joint efforts on getting the word out and enforcing our recent move over law. As our commitment to you, we will continue to reach and pursue new legislation to pass laws with stiffer penalties, discourage irresponsible driving, and encourage awareness in and around our work zones. Operating engineers want to send a strong message to the traveling public. We will not tolerate this errant driving around our work zones. As most of you know, we have been working very hard on obtaining a safety retirement for our Caltrans members. In the last round of bargaining sessions with the state of California, IOE was able to secure language that allows us to explore new options in securing our safety retirement. As a commitment to our brothers and sisters, we will continue our ongoing training with Caltrans members in effort to help them be more aware of their surroundings and work as a team to prevent any further tragedy. In closing, I would like to leave you with a thought in remembering our loved ones. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. Remember to move over when you see a highway worker. Please be safe out there, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Tim. Our next speaker is Brian Smith. He's from Caltrans District 10. He's an equipment operator, and he was involved in a serious work zone accident a few years ago. Please welcome Brian.
November 8, 2012, started out just like any other day. We were doing a crack sealing operation. Previous days I was the flagman. Well, that particular day they offered to have me run the one doing the crack sealing, but I was already primed for flagging, so I said I'd go ahead and flag traffic. It started out just like any other day. We were getting done a little bit early every day, so we were going to work a little bit extra. And I looked down at the clock, and it was 12:30. I thought, well, we've been done by now on previous days. And no sooner than that happened, I saw a big rig. He wasn't going to stop. Earlier in the day, they say to plan your escape route. I planned my escape route. I said, well, I can run towards the truck and I'll be safe. Little did I know that the big rig was going to smash the car in front of him, and that car was going to push the car in front of him into me. Anyway, I ended up under the truck. My head hit the glad hand of the brake, split my head wide open. My coworker said I was bleeding like a stuffed pig. Anyway, the CHP was on scene, and I was in bad shape. So they med-flighted me to the hospital. My wife and sister were in the room. They started stitching up my head, and they said I threw up, so they had to get it done. So they finished it off with staples. So my coworkers, I had a supervisor, even before this happened, with my big forehead. He calls me Brian Stein. Now I was thinking, oh, that'll just give him ammunition. If you're ever out and about at McDonald's or someplace that has those little things that you buy for $1 and you can put your name, if you see Brian Stein, that's me. My first day with Caltrans was flagging traffic. November 12th, 2012, November 8th, 2012, almost was my last day of flagging. I want to thank the director. I remember when they med-flighted me into the hospital, everything was kind of foggy, but I remember the director of Caltrans being there along with the regional manager. I just want to say thank you. I know that pretty much ruined her day because it took her that much time to get from Sacramento to Modesto, stay in the hospital, and then fly back. The first thing I did when I got in that accident was told my coworkers, call my wife. I had been hitting a barrier truck a couple years prior, and it was by a big rig. I was doing about 15 miles an hour because we were sweeping the highway. The big rig was doing 55, carrying 80,000 pounds. He ricocheted me from the number 3 lane to the median. It was on a Thursday before Memorial Day. We had just said, man, the traffic's getting heavy. My coworkers, I don't see how you didn't get hit a second time. I have two more coworkers that we pray in the morning for my safety. I told Frank, well, I guess God didn't answer my prayer. He said, yes, he did. You didn't die. In fact, I wasn't even hurt. They were adamant about me going to the hospital to be checked out. So I spent the night, and everything was okay. They asked me what my pain level from 1 to 10 was, and I said 1, and it never got any worse. And the way Caltrans has it situated, where they have the backrest and the incinerator and everything, it absorbed the impact. I was reading an article. Nationally, there's 150 workers injured flagging traffic and 15 killed. And it's just going to get worse with this texting, the TVs in the cars. And it's been said, and I'll repeat it. If you want to text, you want to talk on the phone, pull over. My coworkers know when they call, I'm not going to answer. I'll pull over, and then I'll call them back. When I flag traffic, they rotate the workers, and I just want to let the boss know I appreciate them rotating us. They say to give the flagman a break, and that 15-minute break makes a big difference. When the accident happened, the CHP was conducting their investigation, and all our signs were virtually perfect. I know the opposing attorney wanted to hang Caltrans, and that didn't last but a short time, and they couldn't because we didn't do anything wrong. I remember being under that truck thinking, God, go ahead and take my life. I have cerebral palsy, and it affects my right side. So I have a weak right leg and a weak right arm and hand. So the leg that was injured is my left foot. I have 9 pins and a plate holding it together. In fact, I have to wear an ankle corset. That's why I have ugly tennis shoes on, because they're a size 4E, and I have to spend $179 whenever I buy tennis shoes. I remember being in the rehab hospital. They said I couldn't go home until I could walk around the hospital. I was having to use a walker, and I had a cam walker on my left foot, so I had to use my cerebral palsy foot to walk around the hospital. It took me 45 minutes. I was sweating like I took a shower with my clothes on, but I got it done, and I told them, get me out of here. One of the things the director of Caltrans said at the last memorial is tell your loved ones you love them, because you never know when it's going to be your last day. When I walk, I have to walk with a limp. I used to walk to alleviate the pain in my back. I have cerebral palsy and I have arthritis in my back, so walking helps, but now I can only walk a short distance. One of the things that we do now to kind of try to alleviate this from happening again is using rumble strips. They say always try to think of something that would stop something like this from happening again, and that's one of the things we do. The one thing that I've always said all along when we've started using the CHP, have the CHP on site. People tend to make the right decisions when they see that black and white. No. I just want to say, Just as a cheerful note, if you get in any mischief, give me a call. I'll come join you. Thank you.
Well, applause might not be typical at a memorial, but I think to really show the spirit that we all understand and felt from what Brian said, let's try it once more and really let him know. Thank you, Brian. And if you have not seen the display on the landing here, he spoke about an attenuator. There are 2 other Caltrans vehicles and a storyboard describing the way that those vehicles were involved in accidents and what happened. Thankfully, I will let you know there were no fatalities connected to them. I'd like to introduce our next speaker by saying that I spoke to the Baker family a little bit before the ceremony. And there's a beautiful 11-year-old, Kayla, in the family. And these days are hard for us. Can you imagine how a youngster sorts out a day like this when it was a family member that was the reason that she was here? And as we talked a little bit, I said, Kayla, you know, in all of our humanity, we have never figured out an easy way through this. We don't have a solution. We don't have the thing that makes it go away or even makes it easier, except that time softens it. But the only thing that I can tell you, and I speak on behalf of all the adults, is that you go through it. You can't go around it. And in going through it, something in the tapestry of who you are grows, and you're able to understand and help the next person who has to go through it. And so I commend you, Kayla, for being here, and if you see her, speak to her, you know, give her a little boost of confidence. But it's also with that spirit that our next speaker raised her hand last year and said, you know, I would like to talk. I'm a grown-up family member, but I was a little girl when I was involved in this kind of a memorial and this experience in my life. So she is Michelle Grubbs. I mentioned Ann McCormick, who lost her life in 1987, and Michelle Grubbs is a family member of Ann's.
Thank you. And Brian, I'm glad you're here. They say that kids don't remember what you say to them, but they remember how you make them feel. On February 9th of 1987, it was just 5 days after Ann had passed. I don't remember the eulogy or the things that were said. I don't remember crying. I just remember the warmth that was all around. It was standing room only in a church that held more than 400 people. It looked a lot like this. There was a line of Caltrans workers holding roses, waiting to put one on her casket and to pay their respects. There's a procession of orange trucks outside from the church all the way over to the burial grounds. They were her family too. They were here to do the same thing I was here to do. In the years following, those that knew Ann continued her legacy. They created a scholarship fund in her name for those that are highway workers' children. They told of her antics, her smile, her humor, and the love of her job and her family. I look at her daughters now, and I can't help but see the warmth of her in their eyes. And know that she would have been delighted in the children that she now has. Her presence can be felt in a million ways, but most notably when I come here. It's been 27 years since her passing, and when I attend this event each year, I walk up from 9th Street through that circle, and I'm greeted with the same sea of orange and green shirts. It's the same line of trucks, and each person is here paying their respects to someone they've lost. thank you to each of you. I said thank you to a number of people on my way up, some traveling more than 4 hours to get here. I may not know your name or your face, but I know that you're family. I want to say a special thank you to Carolyn and Tammy for your tireless efforts in making this event happen every year and for making it special time for my family and I. Thank you.
It's the way we remember and hope that it stays with us always. I'd like to share a letter with you now that was written by Tammy Baker. Sean's wife wrote this letter. Sean, my love, it's hard to believe that it's been a year since you walked out of our door and as a result of circumstances beyond your control, out of my life. Your sudden parting did not give us a chance to say goodbye. It left me with such sadness, emptiness, and a feeling of incompleteness as you truly did complete me. The kids and I miss you dearly, and if tears born out of sorrow could create a river to heaven, then I would have been there so many months ago. Life has continued, but it hasn't been the same. Our big guy is so notably absent. You were always there to lend a hand to both friend and stranger alike. Your quick wit, your jovial nature, your warm smile, the sparkle in your eyes, your friendly hellos and loving embraces are all deeply and sorely missed. However, I'm not so sure that everyone would agree with some parts of that statement. Because as I write this, I'm remembering all those ladies who clutched their purses a little tighter as you, a perfect stranger, passed them by on the streets and gave them your big cheesy grin, followed by an out-of-the-blue hello. Not to mention your family, friends, and coworkers who had this overwhelming urge to proceed with great care when it came to all things related to Sean. You were forever up to some kind of mischief. So we all learned to open items with great caution, thoroughly inspect our vehicles prior to getting in them, provided you hadn't put it up on blocks, that is, driving off. We were most cautious when there had been times you were left alone or had a period of unaccountability. There was never a dull moment with you around. For those of us who were blessed to have known you and had the privilege to have you as part of our lives, we unfortunately know so painfully well the void you left behind. We'll always remember the humor, the love, and the joy you shared. For those of you who were not touched by this man, you might be asking the question, who was Sean Baker? And to that I would reply that he was a loving husband, a father, a brother, a son, and a friend. His world was centered on his family. He had a heart of gold with a life filled with kindly deeds. He always had a helping hand for your needs because it was the right thing to do. His word was his bond, and he considered your word yours. More simply, he trusted and had faith in his fellow man. Sean was gracious, warm, caring, and sincere. He wanted to brighten your day in hopes of bringing a smile to your face. His upbeat, positive nature and attitude suited him well and made him many friends. His presence was somewhat larger than life, and he embraced all that life had to offer. When he was in a room full of people, everybody knew he was there, even though he never intended or wanted to be the center of attention. He was a very skilled and talented carpenter who did beautiful work and loved spending the time perfecting his craft. He was an overall Mr. Fix-It, and there wasn't much he couldn't do, and what he do, he did well. I'm sure he's probably up there discussing carpentry techniques, reviewing tricks of the trade, and trying to learn more and glean some pointers from the ultimate carpenter, because he was always wanting to learn new things and increase his knowledge. He was always willing to try something new. He considered himself somewhat of a thrill seeker, and he loved being outdoors. And when it came to exploring new and interesting places or trying new activities or adventures, he was the first one to say, let's do it, or let's go. Sean was not one to sit idle unless he was sleeping. In fact, until his Caltrans family got to know him better, he had to make several trips to Reading because his number had been randomly selected. He was a good man with a big heart, and he was a true friend. He was a character with a never-ending sense of humor and could sometimes be a little, well, one might say funny, but wrong, even as he watches over me while I try to work or complete our vision. I swear I have heard him laugh at me, felt him shake his head in dismay, scold me for not measuring correctly, or having to sacrifice yet another board. He's called his friends over to watch the show, and when I did do something correctly, he would brag to them, stating, "I taught her that." This is but a brief glimpse of the man, but hopefully it answers the question, who was that Sean Baker? Sean, all of this is what made you an unforgettable man. You taught us and made every example to lead by example. My dear, you made a difference, and you left your mark on so many of us. You were my rock, my soulmate, my one and only, my forever love. I hope you're dancing and singing with the angels. I hope you're flying and soaring above the clouds and doing all that you ever wanted and dreamed of doing, but didn't get the chance to. I will forever love you and hold you close in my heart. A bright light was extinguished April 24th, 2013. It has left many stumbling in its darkness. The family says we will always remember. Sean and Tammy have been married 26 years. They have 4 children. The whole family is here today. Dean Patton has many friends, co-workers, and a group of, at least family members totaling 40 that are here today. And Robert Jones's mom, his brothers are here, his Aunt Duana Langford, who was at one time on the same crew, I believe, that Robert worked on, and is now working in Reading as a superintendent. And State Senator Ted Gaines already read one of the poems that is in the program. I'd like to share another one because this one actually was written by Robert. It was written back in 1996. There's a little bit of a story behind it. It's brief, but it says so much that we're sharing it here today. He wrote, "I don't want to say goodbye. It was not a choice of mine. I did not ask to leave you. The answers I cannot define. I know that you will be lonely. I realized that you'd be sad. But just remember all the good times that you and I had. So please just think about me. Don't ever forget my love. Just look toward the heavens." He says, "I'll be watching you from above." And now it's time for our ceremonial cone and wreath presentations. The presentations feature the Caltrans Honor Guard, District 3 Amazing Grace soloist Timothy Weeks. The Caltrans Quartet will join us, and Lieutenant Colonel Bill Tubbs from the California State Military Reserve.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found, was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first secures. He will my shield and portion be, as long as life endures. Yea, when this flesh and heart shall fail, and mortal life shall cease, I shall possess within the veil a life of joy and peace. The world shall soon dissolve like snow. The sun refused to shine, but God, who called me here below, shall be forever mine. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost,
Kevin Lindsay of the Honor Guard worked on the District 2 crew with Sean Baker and Robert Jones. He is the one placing their cones, as well as the cone of Dean Patton and the all-workers cone, into the diamond formation. Chaplain Frank Russell from the Law Enforcement Chaplaincy will now give us the benediction.
It is our hope and our prayer that this cone pattern would be completed and no more names, no more cones to be added. I would ask you to visit your faith tradition at this moment, and according to my tradition, I would say, let us watch and pray. Like we drive, let us watch and pray. For those family members that are not here for us to extend our love and condolences, I hope that the video that's being taken will be a reminder that they'll receive that hope, that inspiration from our time together. It is my hope that our brother here who is signing beside me, as we look to him for this few moments to say, let us watch and pray, ladies and gentlemen, as we do when we drive. Let us hope that there are no more cones added. So please join me as we conclude today. Almighty God, we thank you for this day to remember our fallen highway workers, transportation professionals. And as we reflect on their loss and the contribution of our lives, let us say thank you. It is our hope that our rituals and our prayers and the presence here will be a comfort to these family members that have truly suffered the loss. For they did not lose their lives, these friends that are listed on these cones. They did not lose their lives. In fact, they're ones who gave their lives in the service to others. And we honor each one of them today. They have the greater reward. They gave up a lifetime of loving their family and their community. These on the cones have given up the chance to become revered old men and women in their senior years. They have given up so much. They gave up their all for us. Our loss is their and heaven's gain. We ask you, Lord, to use your tender mercies through us as we connect with these family survivors. Heal their broken hearts with your soothing, loving touch through us. Provide your peace that the world cannot offer, and reassure them of a glorious future with a certain hope that we find in you. May these families take consolation in the assurance of a grateful state, and from we the people who appreciate their service above self. Protect our workers in the performance of their duties, those in orange and chartreuse, and those magnificent warriors seated behind me in tan. Bless each one. Give them a sense of your presence and your peace, we pray. In your mighty and holy name. Amen.
This day changes the tapestry inside of us. I ask that the family members joining us today, the friends, the co-workers of the fallen workers we honor today, feel a weaving of care and love and concern. Build that into what you take from this day, and know that you go with the spirit of all of us. When this ceremony ends, the Honor Guard will escort the families to a private luncheon on the other side of the Capitol. Except for the families of Sean Baker and Robert Jones, you will be escorted to a ceremony across the street. I'd like you to recognize that in the time from the end of this ceremony last year to this moment right now, the end of this ceremony, not a single worker's life has been lost. And I'll echo what Chaplain Russell just spoke, and that is that our greatest hope could be that in coming here next year, we are remembering this diamond exactly as it is today, with not a single cone more. Peace be with you. Thank you. Drive safely and take care of one another.
And one additional thing that I would like to add, my name's Tammy McGowan, and on behalf of the entire Caltrans family, I'm presenting these flowers to Beth Ruyak because she has been here for us for 7 years now, and she is absolutely amazing for this ceremony.
Thank you, everybody. Drive safely. I'll be there with you.